What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again with another 90-day fiance video, and this one is all about Pedro and Chantel. But before we get into it, let's start off by giving a big massive shout out to every single person that is a member of the channel, every single person that is a member Patreon, and every single person that is a subscriber. Now, before we continue, I just want to say trigger warning. This video may trigger anyone who has experienced DV or has been around DV. Hopefully you have not, but please continue with caution just in case this video becomes triggering to yourself. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the article itself in particular. But before we get into that as well, at the same time, originally when I made the video about what has happened or what is going on with the divorce, the video that I made was more based on Pedro filing for divorce and also Chantel taking $257K out of the bank account. But this video here, or this information here, is slightly more different because this one's going to give us slightly more of a backstory about where this all began and exactly where these allegations kind of came from, and also at the same time, other things that I also was unaware of. And this one also does implicate that Chantel is actually the one that did file for divorce, and it actually wasn't Pedro. But let's continue. So as you can see here, it starts off with some subtitles. A popular 90-day fiance couple. I mean, that part isn't really too important. It's more the next bit of Chantel and Pedro of domestic abuse and cheating in new court filings. Now, obviously, as we go down here, ladies and gentlemen, it does start off by saying Chantel and Pedro, a popular couple from season 4 of TLC's 90-Day Fiance and the spin-off The Family Chantel, have filed for divorce. Chantel accused Pedro of domestic violence, according to court documents, which is something that we did see in the previous video that I did make in terms of all the restrictions that have been filed against each other. On May 26th, the couple filed paperwork to divorce in a Georgia court, stating they had been separated since April 27th. In multiple filings since, the two have lobbed allegations against the other. Again, I believe it's against one another. But here's the thing, though, that I'm finding hard to really understand here is that if the couple has already broken up, which we know they have broken up, why did TLC still continue to start to air the show? Because the show started, I believe, in either June or was it May? Either late May or June. So the fact that this has already started, to be fair with you, I'm very surprised that TLC still decided to proceed with the show being aired purely because of the allegations that have been filed. And TLC would have 100% known, or at least should have known, about these allegations. And I think it would have been better and probably safer if they just didn't air the 4th season in general and they just scrapped it. Because really and truly now, people are going to be watching it, you know, thinking certain things, looking for certain clues, looking for certain hints, because the truth of the matter is, in the last episode that we saw, when Chantel finally stands up to Pedro's ways of not really giving her no attention and him being absolutely disrespectful to her and him, you know, looking down on her, there were certain scenes in there that I can say to you, as I was watching it myself in particular, before all of this, I was thinking to myself, I hope this doesn't end badly. Now, of course, within the scenes himself, nothing ends badly in that kind of way, which is a good thing. But again, you would think that TLC would have scrapped the TV show, but TLC just love those views and they love that controversy. What can we say? But nonetheless, though, it continues here by saying, in documents filed on May 27th, Pedro said that Chantel had transferred money from a joint account days before they separated. On or about April 23rd, 2022, the defendant withdrew from the parties' joint business account over $257,000 of the parties' joint funds and transferred into an account in the defendant's name and her sister's name. And this is obviously something that Pedro's attorney has obviously said in May. In court documents filed on Thursday, Chantel stated her reasons for seeking the divorce, including adultery and physical domestic violence, as well as mental pain. Now, let's talk about the mental pain part. I'm not going to talk about the physical part purely because that's something that we haven't seen. But when we talk about the mental part, I can definitely say we have been seeing that throughout the season. The way Pedro has been speaking to Chantel, like I've already said, the way he's been belittling her, the way he's been going back and forth in his words, the way he's been completely neglecting her, and he showed nothing but respect. Chantel said it herself, he's showing signs of his own freaking father. And to be fair, when he said that, we saw that he wasn't happy and he got up and left. You know what I mean? And obviously Chantel did follow him to continue the conversation, but eventually she then left and went to her brother's house, which is obviously the best thing to do at that moment in time, because Lord knows what could have happened or would have happened or X, Y, Z, if you know what I mean. And the thing is, well, I think we need to remember that when it comes to TLC, the more I think about it, I'm actually not surprised that they still air this show, because if you remember on 90 Day Fiance, before the 90 Days, the most recent season, we experienced a scene between Mike and Jimeno, where in this scene in particular, Jimeno was asking Mike to leave, but Mike was refusing to leave. In fact, Mike stated that I paid the bills, I paid everything, so you cannot make me leave. I shall stay here. Now, obviously, in that scene itself in particular, we didn't see anything that was necessarily physical, but we saw a lot of verbal abuse from Mike in terms of him not listening to Jimeno and also respecting the boundaries of her children as well as her family. Now, obviously, when it came out soon after that episode aired, obviously Jimeno did come out to indicate on her social media that there was a potential chance where the physicality may have been something that happened on that scene itself in particular. Again, we will never know because it was never shown, but of course at the time I did bring up why was it still filmed and why did they still decide to air this couple. Really and truly, that couple should have never made it on the show anyway. But so me saying this is now me saying that I'm not surprised that TLC continued to still air the show, because TLC really and truly just don't give a two damn if you know what I mean. Hence the reason why they have presenters, hosts like Sean Robinson, who's absolutely shocking at the job. But anyway, let's continue. Oh no, my apologies, sorry, I haven't finished. So therefore, when it comes to the mental part, we can definitely say that we've seen elements of him mentally being abusive towards Chantel, in terms of him, first and foremost, there was a part early in the season where he's called her maid. He was like, I want a maid, not a wife, or something like that. Then he changed his mind and says, no, I want a wife, not a maid. And he said that once she stepped up to do all the housework that he had requested. Okay, so that was men abuse number one over there. Then we also had the aspect where he's come home after a long day of work and then he gets completely irate and upset with her because the house is upside down, even though she has been working 12-hour shifts. And the fact that he's not even willing to even chip in any kind of way in terms of housework as well, he's also very disrespectful. And he's obviously putting all the pressure on her because she is a female. And we've seen the way he has belittled her because she is a female. It's as if he has no respect for females in terms of obviously how he has treated her. So again, that is also another part of mental pain. So that part there, I can definitely say, in my opinion, based on what I've witnessed, is 100% true. The physical part, again, I would like to believe that it's not true, but a part of me tells me that this is potentially true because of the mannerisms that we have witnessed from Pedro. But again, I would prefer them to not be true, because obviously I wouldn't want her to be in any physical situation. But then again, at the same time though, they need to be true, because it's not good if it's a lie, because there are a lot of women in this world who lie about men putting their hands on them, and then in the end a lot of men become cautious about how they should approach a woman. And also on top of that, it also makes a lot of women who have actually been in a situation of physical harm to be too scared to actually open up, because they feel like no one's going to believe them because of people always lying about it. So hopefully, really and truly, as sad as it sounds, it's like one of the situations where it's like, what do you say that's correct? And I think the correct for me to say here is that I hope she isn't lying. That's the best way to word it. Yes. But let's continue. And also down there, as you can see, it also says they featured in season 4 of 90 Day Fiance, a show which follows on. My apologies, we don't need to read that bit there. That bit's here and there. Now, obviously, here at the bottom, it does say throughout the shows, the families clashed and the couple fought regularly and at times physically after getting married in 2017, which is something that we did see, to be fair, last season on the episode itself, between obviously Pedro's sister and XYZ. So yeah. Their spin-off lasted 4 seasons and their marital problems took center stage. TLC did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment. Of course, TLC didn't. By October 28th, 2021, the couple had secured a mutual restraining order against each other. So the fact that this is already starting back last year in October is beyond me. But it is Scorpio season, so what can we say? Okay, there was no need for the jokes there. sorry. My apologies. You know, I can't help myself make jokes sometimes. Anyway, it's a coping mechanism, so I do apologize. But yeah, Scorpios. I just did it again. My apologies. The couple had a secured, which limited their ability to make financial decisions alone over joint investments and bills. According to the court documents, the restraining order is set to last until the divorce is finalized. Attorneys representing Pedro and Chantel did not immediately respond to insiders' request for a comment. Now let's just go back to this part itself in particular, when you talk about which limited their ability to make final decisions alone over joint investments and bills. So because this is something that has already stemmed and began around October of last year, it does make sense now how Chantel was able to get ahead of Pedro in terms of taking out 257K Like, can you imagine 260K out of that joint account? Because clearly, where this problem has been stemmed has began for such a long time ago, she was clearly prepared for the next time hell was about to hit the fan. I'm trying to think of a word that wasn't a swear word. Shit, that's it. Was about to hit the fan. So now I know why, because I was wondering how she was able to, you know what I mean? Like, but obviously, clearly, she was preparing for this for a very long time. I can only imagine maybe her lawyer or someone around her that was saying to her, listen, do something real quick with that money, And I think, to be honest with you, there's a split decision here. A lot of people feel like, you know, she did the right thing by taking the money because Pedro has blatantly, by the way, it looks like it, come over to this stage just to use her, and they never had any intentions to love her, to be in a relationship, to actually, you know, look, you know, he never had intention. His intentions were never pure in the first place. So a lot of people do feel like her choices or her actions of taking the money was the right choice. Meanwhile, other people have slightly other opinions. Me myself in particular, I'm not too sure. All I care about is to make sure that justice is served, given the fact that domestic violence has been now reported is also a part of it. And I think justice needs to be done in some kind of way towards Pedro, given the fact that what Chantel is saying is 100% true. Because at the end of the day, I am sick and tired of so many men and women out there who do physically harm their partners, getting away with it as if it's nothing. And Lord knows how many people they've done it to before that, and how many people they're going to do it to moving forward as well. And to make it worse, if people like that even ever have children too, they're just terrible, bad role models. And I think that's the great thing about this situation here, that no children was actually ever conceived between the two, which therefore means, you know what I mean? Which therefore means at least there isn't a child who's going to have to go through this terrible experience. But at the same time, though, the more I think about it, this is why now I think that Pedro was actually avoiding sexual contact with Chantel for such a long time, because in the most recent season, she does reference to the fact that they haven't had any sexual contact for a very long time. And it makes sense, because Pedro's probably been avoiding any kind of way of potentially getting her, unless of but that is given if she's no longer on any contraception, and he's trying to avoid it. But again, that is here or there. But nonetheless, though, let me know what you're thinking based on everything that we covered here today, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll talk about it. But of course, at the same time, please don't forget, you can become a member. But you can become a member of the channel. The link is down below in the description for early access. You can also become a member for Patreon for extra content, unrestricted content, down below as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the comment section. We are done and we are out. Peace.